Oh, have I got something new for you? We can now write with resin.
I can pretty much write with this whatever I want.
Why, you might ask?
The good thing about this is the next step.
I'm about to show you.
Right, we are back with a banger. So many of you will remember way back on the channel, I did a piece which resembled the Moana stone. And we used this. And you've seen me use these needle tip bottles quite a bit with my UV resin. So we're going to be using that again today. I'm going to show you how to do it. And we're also going to need just a sheet of baking paper. That's it, really. So all we need to do to begin with is just fill this with our UV resin. And here is one I made earlier, well, the other day. And again, I'm just protecting that with a finger of an old glove, so no sunlight can penetrate through. I can just pop that on and store it away. So I've had this question quite a lot on the channel when I've used these before, asking how you clean them out. Guys, you don't need to. You just keep topping them up. Because they're transparent, you can see which colors you've put in there as well. You just keep topping them up. There's no need to really clean them out for reusing. I mean, I've got quite a few of different colors already pre-mixed, and again, I just store them correctly, and I can just check which colors I've got when and as I need them. You're also going to need one of these handy little UV pocket torch. Use your imagination with this one. Because we're using baking paper, it is quite transparent, so you could always put images underneath and you can trace around them. If you're not confident enough with freehand stuff, that's always an option. We've spoken about that before on the channel. You can trace through. If you haven't got this, you can do it on a mold, but we are going to be dusting the resin once it's cured, so bear that in mind. Stay. Pop that there. So what we can do with this is just draw shapes like a heart. It's really difficult to see because it is so white. Any gaps you can just touch in afterwards. If you're not happy with the shape of it, you can go over it, make it as thick or as thin as you want, and just cure it. If you go wrong, these are really easy to hide in other projects. And it can get, you kind of have to get used to the flow of the resin from the needle tip to get a really good and crisp design. You'll get used to it, trust me. It may end up, or it may start a little bit messy, but the more you do it, the better it will get. As for wording, I put a video up on one of my other platforms. It's almost hit, I think, 500,000 views so far. With wording, you kind of have to get the word placements or the letter placements in the right way. So if I was to try and write the word love, so I'd start with my L, and then if I go to my O, what can happen is that the tension wants to self-level and it will close that O up sometimes. You can get lucky, but sometimes I'd say begin with the O and maybe the E, cure it, and then do the other letters around it so that it's not got that time to close in and form just a solid circle. So if you can see that, I'm not sure if you can, there's the O and the V are not joined up, but all you need to do is just add a dab over it and cure it. And then it's all joined up into one piece. Then what you can do is brush it with any color you choose. Now you also have the option as well of mixing up some black mica powder with your clear UV resin and doing it that way. That will really make the colors pop. So we can just brush that. See how easy that comes off. That just pinged away. So brush carefully, and it will just cover that into a really nice But watch how easy it comes off from the paper. That easy. So you could pre-make lots and lots of these, and it's just an added handmade touch to whatever you're making. They come off super, super easy, like that. Now, I'll show you with the black. I haven't put a protective sleeve over this, but I'll just show you it can be done. But you will need to cure this from the underneath of the paper also, just to make sure that it is fully cured. Again, just go with a heart shape. If it's not right, just go over the gaps again and cure it. And then I can just use my torch on the underside just to cure the bottom. And again with the gold, you'll find that the gold stands out. Some colours are going to stand out a lot better on the black. See that? So, you know, you can just play around with different colours and powders. You could do swirly patterns, anything you like. So you see what I mean about the O and the E. Some characters, depending on the size that you're doing it as well, can close up. So again, as mentioned, all we need to do is focus our phone. Do say the O first. Cure that. You only need to cure it for like a couple of seconds as well. Move on to say the V. And then you can join that onto the E. Like that. And then all we need to do is just shape it a little bit better. No, it's flooded inwards. See, it has its risks. But you get what I mean. I can't be perfect all the time. But like that. I've got it with the O. It's just that I was too close with the E. And again, just brush that. But the good thing about this is the next step. So I'm going to carry on just making a few different ones. And then we can start piecing a project together. Before we do that though, what you can do, if you say you want to work on a heart cabochon, place an existing one down and just trace around it. That way you know you can't go outside the perimeter of that heart. So you can do your design in there. You can plan the whole project in there with swirl placements, hearts, wording, and you know that that's going to fit inside whatever kind of jewelry project that you're making. But as always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, thank you very much. So just by playing around, I've moved that sheet across because I've just come across something that I think is an absolute game changer, and I hate using that word. So I've just used my pliers to squeeze that needle tip quite flat. And this is pretty incredible. And basically what we've just done is created a UV resin pen. I'm going to do it again, but I'm actually going to touch the paper as I'm writing. Watch this. It's just like a pen. I need to get used to it because it's very different. But I can pretty much write with this whatever I want. It's pretty cool. But a little bit messy, but I tell you what, with new things, it does take a little bit of practice to get things to flow the way we want. The E, I'm kind of still struggling with that small gap. But if I try to do the E first, That's a bit of a dodgy E, isn't it? So's that. So the trouble is, I was going too fast. Struggling a bit here because what's happening is where I'm touching the paper, it's kind of clearing the resin as I'm writing the E. See what I mean? It's kind of swiping it away. But again, I think that's pretty epic. Should we see if I can actually write my name? Yeah, I can. So now just picking off the words and the hearts that I want to use. The other ones I can just store away and use at a later date. So onto the project, I'm going to be using this heart. Some of you may have seen the video that I already did on other said platform. I can't say the name because the algorithms don't like it when I do. I'm just going to fill the heart, not all the way, with my UV resin. This is the Resin Mockers Clear Hard type. And just make sure there's no bubbles in there. Then what I can do is take the designs that I want to use. So I want to use this love word. And obviously make sure that you're putting it in the right way. So we're going to flip it over. And this is the really good bit. It floats. It will stay floating on the surface like so. We can move it around. Don't move it too much because if there is any loose gold powder or whatever color you're using, it could work its way over the resin. We want to kind of keep the gold where it is. To add one of my little hearts. If you are worried about, what do you call them, embellishments? If you are worried about them sinking, you could always cure that first layer, then add a little bit more, and then add these, so they've got that barrier they can't pass through. If you're doing this with epoxy, you could do the same. I'm pretty certain they would float in epoxy through the whole curing process, so long as you do not get the epoxy on the back of the wording, because that is going to add weight and it will sink. But as long as you keep it like this, clear on the back, it's not going to go anywhere. It will just float. Now, all we need to do is cure it. So out comes the beast. I'm going to cure that at 36 watts for a minute from the top and then a minute underneath. Or I could add the mirror base that I keep forgetting that I have. I've had this lamp for a couple of months now. It is the best lamp I have ever used. It's incredible, but I keep forgetting that I've got that base. I'm so used to just placing my lamp over my work area and not worrying about the bases. Forgive me. Now I'm just going to use some of these dried pressed flowers, also from Resin Mockers. To do that, just a thin layer, not too much, because you are at risk as well if the UV resin has shrunk. If you pour a fresh layer on, sometimes what can happen is it can seep down the sides, and that is going to create more work when we demold, as in sanding, etc. So I'm just going to add one of my flowers to the resin, but I'm not going to turn it over. I'm going to let that sit for 5 or so minutes. Make sure there's no sunlight coming in for a window, etc., that can cure this in place. But I'm just going to apply some to the flower head as well and just let that absorb that UV resin to degas any trapped bubbles that could be inside that flower head. I'm also going to add another one down the bottom and do the same. So the good thing about doing this wording on the baking sheet and then putting it in this way is that if we were to try and write on a layer of cured resin, when we demold it, it's going to look it's not going to look as 3D. It's going to be very flat, like the back of this, for example. It's just not going to look the same. So with this, we've got freedom. We can write as much as we want on the paper. You know, if it doesn't work, we can hide it in black layers if you're doing black backing. You know, it works really, really well. Once you're happy, we can just flip those really carefully in the resin. You could do this in a separate pot if you wanted and then just take them out. But I prefer doing it this way and then just get the position right. Once you're happy, again, just give it a cure. So for the final stage, I prefer taking it out just in case the backing color does run down into the mold. And I know what you're already thinking. He's going to back it in black. He's going to back it in black, isn't he? Yes. Let me just show you. I mean, go with any color you want. Lots, I know, not lots of you, but some viewers, not my regular viewers, some like to just pop in and just be a keyboard warrior and say, oh, you're just always backing things in black. Guys, I show you what you can do. It is up to you how you tailor it to your liking. I give the content, you can tweak it. I'm just going to add a black backing and then give that a final cure. Who's ready for this? As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you haven't subbed, hit that button for me. It is free. This is crazy. It really is crazy. I mean, again, use your imagination. You can tweak this. You can do whatever wording you want as long as it fits. It really has some serious potential with resin art. Look at that. It is absolutely incredible. So this is the one that I did on a different platform, but I kept the resin in this wording clear. So it has a slight transparency to it. I didn't use black UV resin with this one, just clear. But they're equally as nice. This one's a little bit more solid with the wording, I think. So I just filmed another one with the Live, Laugh, Love. And it absolutely comes out amazing using the handwriting with the squeezed tip. Crazy. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.